What are the leadership, like strength that you build throughout all your years with HSBC and GE and so on, and keep with you from the beginning until now?
Staying resilient, taking everything with the spirit of whatever is happening, it's temporary. I believe in this tough times never last, tough people do. And when you're tired and exhausted, you rest, but you don't quit. I think that's what has kept me going. You need to have a big reserve of resilience with you because the ups and downs are bound to happen. How you bounce back when you fall, how do you pick yourself up and move on is something that really works for me.
So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Resilient Leaders with Dona Amelia. Today, I'm with my beautiful, great woman leaders as my guest, and I would love her to introduce herself. Her name is Neeti Mahajan. She's been with HSBC for 25 years. That's amazing. That's a long journey. And I want everybody to know these great woman leaders. Neeti, welcome to the Resilient Leader Show with me, Dona Amelia, and thank you so much for taking the time. Please tell me about yourself and tell the audience about yourself.
All right. First and foremost, thanks a lot, Donna, for having me on your podcast. I think I'm excited about the conversation. Just for my quick introduction, look, I've been in the corporate world for almost 29 years. I started my journey right after my engineering college. I studied and grew up in India and worked in, I think, multiple organizations before starting with HSBC. Before HSBC, I was with GE Capital. I think it's been really interesting journey in terms of starting with engineer by education, moving into risk management, Inc., where my job was to be a geographical information systems engineer. Suddenly, the world of BPO was opening up in India, and we had GE Capital. So GE Capital was looking for people with a background in satellite imagery, and that's how I got the job in GE Capital because they were moving some of their flood mapping processes to India, and they needed people with the GIS background. Soon enough, I grew up in Chandigarh and then moved to Hyderabad for a job with the GE. And at that time, HSBC was setting up our first global service center in Hyderabad in India. So I think early days, 2001 is when I started in payment operations with HSBC. And I think it was a great experience to work for a British bank with, of course, deep roots within Asia and Hong Kong as such. If I have to now move into the quick introduction of what have I done in the past 25 years, I think it's in the batches of first 10 years was all with payment operations. So working in payment operation, not just managing teams, growing and scaling up the teams, but also deploying some large scale change programs. 2006 and 7, I moved to London. I think as part of the first migration that was happening from our legacy systems to what is now deployed as a global payments solution. That was a great experience to see, live and work in a different culture, understand, I think, HSBC being in the headquarter and, of course, deploying large-scale change was a great learning for me. Moved to Scotland as well for a year where I think I was running service quality as well as the payments complaint help desk. Again, a very interesting role where you're front-facing with the clients all the time. And 2007, I came back to India to take up the larger role. The payments teams have grown from what was 100 probably 5 or 7 years ago to 1,000 plus people. Large team, multiple geographies, work happening. So I was heading that operation from 2007 to 2011. I was growing in the ranks as well all this time. During this time, again, something I should not skip. 2001 to 2007 or 2011, I had my daughter in 2003. Really tests your, I think, ability to continuing to deliver your best, be at your best when you're trying to now juggle between a small baby and work. So that was also happening. I just wanted to say that it's not just professional promotions happening, but also I think personally, I think there are milestones. Now, coming up to my last 10, 15 years, I think I've done multiple roles within operations. I was heading our global shared services in Hyderabad, and I moved to Malaysia in 2018 to take care of our global service center in Malaysia. I had this was an MD position, looking after not just Malaysia side but also global workforce management. The job was to look at how do you measure productivity across 35,000 operations team, onshore or offshore. That was a very good, diverse role. And most recently, global chief admin officer for after 20 years with ops, I moved into the business where I was the global chief admin officer looking at wealth and personal banking from an angle of how do you plan headcount, workforce, budgeting, making sure that all cost efficiency deliverables, as well as I think board commitments on whatever is happening within the wealth and personal banking is being supported through my team for the WPB COO and CEO's office. And most recently, my role with HSBC was global head of transformation as well as a regional head of transformation. I've just about moved on from HSBC after 25 years, and this kind of sums up my entire journey from passing out from college to where am I right now.
Wow, what a journey! What a journey! Thank you so much for sharing. And I love how you are light up when you tell about your story, memorizing all those beautiful years, right? From India to Scotland and then to here and there. And then you are in now in Malaysia. What are the leadership, like strength that you build, throughout all your years with HSBC and GE and so on, that you, embedded and keep with you from the beginning until now?
Yeah. Look, one thing I'll just say that when you are, I think personally and professionally, you will always have a part of this entire journey where things are going absolutely well and brilliant, great. But there are times when you will also have things that are not going your way, the projects that are not delivering, or personally, you're really trying to balance between home and work and feeling like I think when I was a young mom 20 years ago, I felt this how do I balance it all? But my only mantra that's always helped me is staying resilient, taking everything with the spirit of whatever is happening, it's temporary. I believe in this tough times never last, tough people do. And when you're tired and exhausted, you rest, but you don't quit. I think that's what has kept me going. And I think the resilience, I still think, because I'm not just saying because this is the Resilient Leaders show, but I do think resilience is you need to have a big reserve of resilience with you because the ups and downs are bound to happen. How you bounce back when you fall, how do you pick yourself up and move on is something that really works for me.
I like that. I like that. Can you repeat again the sentence when you say that strong people stay, is it?
Tough times never last, tough people do.
Oh, the tough people do last. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. For everyone who listen here, I think you guys will agree, right? A tough time will always come and go. But also, I believe, of course, this is about resilience. But I think resilience is really, really important trait as a leader, right? Because indeed, tough time will always be there. But remember, it's always gonna go as well. But tough people who stay resilient will always be there, right?
Exactly.
Wow. Yes. So you've been leading the big organization and also team, and then you leading the transformation. Not everyone has that opportunity to have your kind of role, right? But I'm curious, like what people often misunderstand about that kind of transformation in that scale. What are the biggest challenges, and also what's the win that you've been going through all this time?
Yeah. So, look, I think when you are managing either large operations or a large transformation portfolio, it's especially when you are managing portfolios that can deliver large scale change over number of years, sometimes it is seen as pace, it's taking a couple of years or even 2 3 years to deploy. And I think this is part of the job to constantly explain that some of the changes that are part of the transformation journey, they are so large scale that we have to do it very, very carefully. We need to always think about our customers, and we need to deploy change in a very safe and a controlled manner so that it has no impact to our customers. In terms of, I think, running the large scale change or large scale operations, you absolutely need to build, I think, your stamina to make sure that you are ready for, I call it spinning lots of plates at the same time. And you want to make sure that the most important plates continue to spin and you don't drop any one of them. It's not never going to be a case of you're perfect, but when things do happen and it didn't go the way it was planned, then you should also, I think, look at how can we do better? Take the learning. I always say there is nothing called a failure. It's a learning opportunity. You learn and you do even better the next time. So I think people do need to understand that when you're running large teams, operations, or change, there will be times when, and the win is when the high for me has been when you really see the success of these programs, when you really see the success of the teams and what they've done for the customers, that really gives me a great boost.
Wow, I can imagine. And that's actually lead to my next question. I know that, almost every company wanted to do this transformation, especially now with the AI era and so on and so forth. However, there's a lot of company also who failed, even after they invest a lot of money, right, in deploying all this transformation, AI, and so on. You, as the person who experienced for 25 years leading big organization and team and do this transformation in the large scale, what do you think the company mistake or maybe something that they didn't see? What is the bottleneck, and also what are the blind spot here to lead to this failure?
A few, I think, thoughts on this topic. First and foremost, as you set on your journey of transformation, the leadership sponsorship is extremely important. You need to know that who within the executive slash leadership team has to be a key sponsor for the program, because being a sponsor for the program also has a very important task of ensuring that everybody understands that leadership is backing this change. And then me as a transformation leader, my job is to then make sure that this translates into the next layer, as well as my teams to understand why this change is important, why and how it improves customer deliverables, organizational deliverables, or efficiency deliverables, and how it impacts our, really, if you're doing a revenue related program, then how it helps the top line. If it's efficiency and cost related, then how it helps the bottom line. You've got to communicate a lot. I do, and a lot of time I've seen people are just using large scale change as a technical change, like it's a technology change or AI is now happening. But I do think taking people through the journey, culturally making sure that it's not the top of the house who's aligned to the change, it's the masses who also need to be really explained what part will they play. Culturally, they need to tune in. You almost need to win hearts and minds as well when you're deploying change. Otherwise, you will find a lot of resistance, Donna. So for me, the key is communicating, over communicating across all the levels.
Couldn't agree more. I think, yes, one part is the communication. I think we need to get the buy-in, right? Not only from the leadership team, but until the bottom and everybody's in the team. We'll need to understand why we need to do this transformation, why we need to do, utilize this AI, for example, why we need to do this change. Because sometimes it's a human nature, I would say. People are, resistant to change, right? But then I guess with the correct and thorough communication, clear communication from the top to the bottom, then maybe the synergy will be there. And I like what you say also. It's all about the leadership. We need to lead from the top, and the top needs to lead by example. What do you say on that?
Absolutely. So look, we use the word walk the talk a lot. So it's like if we are expecting change in the way people work in the future, then I think you also need to lead it by example. So if there is a big push on using AI tools and technology. What are you doing as a leader? So, look, there is a lot of, I think, visible actions that you have to take. I'm a big promoter of learning and investing in my own learning as well. Data science, as it came out as a program, I had signed up and I spent quite a few weekends, Donna, because it takes time to learn a new subject completely. I'm not going to be a data scientist, but I wanted to be very well informed with why it's such an important topic. What is that future skill that I need to build, and then make sure that I'm speaking with my teams as well, the importance of this. Same thing is now with happening with AI. It's impossible to keep up with AI because there are so many tools and technologies that are coming up at the speed like you can't. So it started with Chat GPT. Now it's gone to Claude, and it's now so many other, I think, tools. So basics of fundamentals. So I've invested a lot of time in the last 4 5 months to go through several programs, and I'm just doing it self-assigning myself. In fact, I invest in my learning quite dedicatedly so that once I know about this topic, I can then start to land this message with the organization as well, with the teams as well.
I really like what you say about the, dedication to lifelong learning. As a leaders, we need to keep learning in the daily activities, right? Because again, especially now, as you rightly say, this AI era, this change is rapid. As you rightly said, it was ChatGPT,
Yeah.
Claude, and then everything else. Like, God knows how many now as we speak. Somebody developing new technology, new AI, and
Correct.
so on. Now, my next questions to you: how can you stay human in this AI era? And
Mm.
how can you lead in these uncertain times? Like, what kind of trait that you need to have, and what kind of
Mm.
communities that you need? Because I believe nowadays we might not be able to only lead by ourselves with our own thinking and knowing all the answers, because our answer now may be relevant now, but maybe not relevant tomorrow. It's not about right or wrong anymore. It's about like the
Mm.
relevancy, right? What's your thought on that?
Great question, Donna. Look, again, I know we're talking about here and now and the uncertain times. Future is unfolding very quickly. The geopolitics have moved very quickly. We in our lifetime have seen even a pandemic, which probably the one generation above us probably didn't see it. How do you suddenly find ways of doing everything from home? How do you need to leverage on technology in a way that you can continue to sustain your operation and deliverables? Now, when we are moving into this AI era, I do think people need to be not scared of it, but they need to equip themselves with the knowledge of what is it. It's not a mystery, and there is so much resource available on AI and learning free. If you go to some of the big sites as well, YouTube, or like you can sign up to so much material. Once you have the knowledge, you'll soon realize that AI on its own will not just be functioning, it will always need the human in the loop. There's a language emerging on assisted AI, human in the loop, because the things that humans can do from the thinking and innovation perspective, AI has been created by humans, by the way. So we need to take encouragement and inspiration from the fact that this is our innovation. It will not take over, but you need to be working hand in hand. If you're thinking you'll keep your eyes closed and think it's going to pass, this is not happening to me, then you will absolutely see the impact. So for me, I think it's important. Things like your working with people, working with your team. These days, things that we traditionally call the softer skills, Donna. People called it softer. I never understood why they called it softer, but the empathy, showing your courage, showing, I think, resilience, all these things matter, and you have to use this at different times. These are tough things and tough traits, and I don't think AI will replace these ever. So it's human in the loop will always be there, and you need to kind of stay on top of the AI because assisted AI is the future of the what's happening right now.
I completely agree. And I think AI will only enhance our ability, right? Of course, I agree with
Yes.
you, whoever listen to our podcast now. And I'm sure, hopefully, everyone already understand now to the point that, oh, AI is not a threat, but it's something that will enhance us, right? However, of course, the one who are, like not really utilizing AI, it's like AI is a horse and you are human and you wanted to compete running with AI, which is a horse, you're not going to win. But if you are a good rider of the horse, right, you will
Yes.
run with AI, and then you will be, like the one who tell the AI, turn right, turn left, jump, stop, and so on. You still be the boss. You need to always be the thought leaders, and AI should be your thought partner to accelerate your
Yes.
growth, to run faster, and so on, right? And I think it's quite interesting at the same time. So yes, please, everyone who listen to this, I hope this is a very, very good information and also insight from Niti, like about this AI. Don't be scared. Just keep learning. Like Niti learn like this AI program, another one, and so on. And yeah, be excited about it. And Niti,
Right.
after all these years of your experience and all, what then resilient means to you?
Look, for me, resilience means same thing. They will be prepared always that there is going to be a time where you're going to feel like that you're not winning today. There is going to be time where you feel like, oh my God, this didn't happen the way I anticipated. So it's your resilience that keeps you going, because you also need to take comfort in the fact that if you are living and working for this long and have gone through so many things, you have the ability to take the learning and move on. And if things that in the past sounded like, oh my God, how I'm going to deal with this, you have that resilience that took care of you at that time. The same resilience is going to take care of you now and in future as well. So for me, being resilient means always learning from what we've done and future forward looking.
Wow, I love what you said. Look, if you go this far, you've been resilient in the past. Just remember that. You passed it, right? You can go through another wave of whatever it is. Is it a current? Is it a
Yeah.
turbulence? Or is it, like a thunderstorm? It's eventually going to have a rainbow, right? And it's going to be beautiful afterwards,
Yeah.
right? Just have those resilient and
Yes.
have like the spirit and positivity, I would say. Yeah. Last question, Nete. This is very interesting. So, what would you say to especially women leaders to stay resilient in wherever they are now? Let's say the one who listen to you now or to us now, someone in their mid career and they are experiencing, let's say, have juggling between being a mother and then needs to choose between mother and work, or maybe having the boss that is really, 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 really annoying, or maybe the task or the or the project that's, oh my god, keeping them awake at night.
Mm.
What will be your advice to them?
Yeah. So look, few scenarios. First one, I do think that this need for balance, and there is no perfect recipe for it. I think for my advice to women leaders would be at different stages in your life and career, that you need to make sure that you are feeling fulfilled in all your roles, not just one side. You can't just be a professional and then ignore what's happening at home, or vice versa. And when you feel exhausted and tired, I always use this quote: when you are tired, you rest. When you're tired, you don't quit. So keep going and make sure that you're not like a lot of women drop out of the workforce in their first 10 years of the career, because that's the usual family caring time, etc. In terms of dealing with the other aspects of whether it's an annoying project, annoying boss, etc., I do think that I feel, and recently, look, I have done my own master coach certification last year. I do think that the coaching is one useful tool that everybody should utilize. And I don't know, and I don't have any stats, but I feel women need to seek help where they need to seek help. And coaching is not to be seen as something is wrong and something needs to be fixed. But coaching is like when you have a sports coach trains you well as to how to deal with this and how to deal with that. Similarly, draw, and right now coaching is available in so many places. It's not like you only have few coaches in the world. So use that. And lastly, as I keep saying, When things get tough, break it down into small pieces. It has always, at some days, I've just closed work and said, like, this is going to really continuously wind me up. So I'm going to just park this topic. I'm going to think about it after a good night's sleep. That's another one. So make sure that you're resting. It's your energy management more than the time management, Donna. You make better decisions when you're well rested.
Oh, I love it. So yes, you need to know the balance, right? The first one that I'm taking from you is that to understand that you need to be fulfilled in all aspect area of your life, whether you are as a mother, whether you are at work, and so on, right? Sometimes you don't have to like choose. You just need to just do it, right, simultaneously, and also just try to have a balance. I understand sometimes it cannot be 100% balanced, but that's okay, right? Sometimes, the work life is a bit more annoying, but then when you go home, you look at your kids, your baby, your husband, your family, you're cheered up, and then you have more energy for going to the next day, right? Just like that. And then I like what you said, pause when you feel like you need to rest, and pause. So I think pause is something that leaders now, right, or even any human being forgot. Because when you pause, you can reflect. Because if you just keep going, do and do and do and do, and you don't have time to pause and reflect, you might not think clearly. And then this can result it to you being just do the same thing over and over again, and might not have some innovative thinking and so on, right? And I like when you said about coach, because I'm a certified coach myself. I think it's very important. You have a safe space to talk, right? To really share what is your struggle, your challenges, and all. I think it's very, very important. And maybe I can add one more, and we know each other from EGN. For those executives, maybe find your tribe, your professional peer advisory or peer network who can elevate you, right? And you can share openly about your challenges, goal, aspiration, and then they can lift you up and give you some advice. So then you can go through all and navigating all these challenges in your life and stay resilient. Agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Such a great summary you've done, Donna. Great.
Fantastic. So once again, thank you so much, Neeti. It's really, really great to speak with you. Wow, I can't believe it's already like 30 minutes. Boom, just like that. Very, very fast. Thank you so much for coming. And for all the listener out there, thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned at the Resilient Leader Show with me, Dona Amelia, because I will invite great leaders across the globe. They can tell the story, so then we can get some inspiration and then to get something that you can implement in your daily activities. Thank you, Neeti. Bye.
Thanks, Donna. Great to be here. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.